Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story, written by Pumby. Tonight's journey takes us into the hushed corridors of an ancient museum after closing time, where moonlight filters through tall windows and casts gentle shadows across forgotten treasures. As we wander through these peaceful halls together, let your breathing slow and your muscles soften. Allow yourself to sink deeper into comfort as we begin. The heavy wooden doors close with a whispered thud behind you, sealing away the bustling world beyond. You find yourself standing in the grand entrance hall of the Metropolitan Museum of Natural History. But this isn't the crowded, echoing space you might remember from daytime visits. This is something entirely different. A sanctuary wrapped in velvet darkness, where silence pools like water in every corner. Your footsteps make no sound as you move across the polished marble floor. The security guard's flashlight beam had disappeared around a distant corner moments ago, leaving you alone with the sleeping exhibits. Above your head, the soaring ceiling disappears into shadow, supported by columns that seem to breathe in the gentle half-light filtering through the tall windows. Moonbeams slant through the glass, painting silver rectangles on the floor that shift almost imperceptibly as clouds drift across the night sky. You pause at the information desk, its surface gleaming softly in the ambient light. The familiar daytime chaos of visitors, consulting maps and asking questions, has been replaced by a profound stillness that seems to emanate from the very walls themselves. Here, surrounded by millennia of human history and natural wonder, time moves differently, more slowly, more deliberately, like honey poured from a jar on a warm afternoon. The air carries the faintest hint of old wood and preservation oils, a scent that speaks of careful curation and reverent protection of precious things. It's a comforting smell, one that wraps around you like a soft blanket and reminds you that you're in a place where knowledge and beauty are treasured above all else. The temperature is perfectly controlled, neither warm nor cool, creating an environment where your body can simply exist without the need to adjust or compensate. You drift toward the Hall of Minerals and Gems, drawn by the promise of crystalline beauty sleeping in the darkness. As you enter the space, emergency lighting provides just enough illumination to reveal the outlines of display cases arranged like sleeping giants throughout the room. Each case holds treasures that have formed over millions of years deep within the earth. Amethyst cathedrals that grew in hidden caves, diamonds that crystallized under unimaginable pressure, and opals that captured rainbows within their depths. Moving closer to the first display, you can make out the gentle gleam of a massive geode, its interior lined with purple crystals that seem to glow with their own inner light. The amethyst points catch what little illumination exists, creating tiny stars within the darkness of the case. You lean against the glass, feeling its cool surface against your palm as you study the intricate patterns nature has carved into this underground cathedral. The silence here is complete, broken only by the barely audible hum of climate control systems, working tirelessly to preserve these ancient treasures. It's a sound so constant and gentle that it becomes part of the silence itself, like the distant whisper of ocean waves or the soft rustle of leaves in a barely perceptible breeze. Your breathing naturally synchronizes with this subtle rhythm, becoming deeper and more measured with each passing moment. You continue your nocturnal wandering, moving past cases filled with meteorites that have traveled across the cosmos to rest here in this peaceful sanctuary. Some are as small as pebbles, others as large as boulders, but each one carries within it the story of stellar birth and death, of journeys through the infinite darkness of space that lasted longer than human civilization has existed. In the dim light, their surfaces appear smooth and mysterious, holding secrets from distant worlds you'll never visit. The Hall of Human Origins calls to you next, its entrance marked by the silhouette of early human reconstructions standing eternal guard in the darkness. As you enter this space, you feel the weight of evolutionary time pressing gently against your consciousness. Not oppressive, but profoundly calming, like being reminded of your small but significant place in the grand story of life on Earth. Here, fossilized bones rest in their cases, like ancient prayers written in calcium and time. The skeleton of Lucy stands in her display, her 3 million-year-old form caught mid-stride in an eternal walk across the African savannah. In the gentle illumination, she seems less like a collection of old bones, and more like a grandmother welcoming you home after a long journey. Her presence is comforting, a reminder that countless generations have walked before you, each one finding their own way through the challenges and joys of existence. You settle onto a bench positioned perfectly for contemplating these ancient relatives. The cushioned surface supports your weight as you lean back slightly, allowing your spine to find its natural curve, while your shoulders release tension you didn't even realize you were carrying. From this vantage point, you can observe the entire hall, watching shadows play across displays that house the story of human development, from our earliest ancestors to the complex beings we've become. The darkness wraps around you like a protective cocoon, muffling any residual thoughts about the day's concerns or tomorrow's obligations. Here, surrounded by evidence of survival and adaptation spanning millions of years, your own momentary worries seem to dissolve into perspective. Your ancestors faced ice ages and volcanic eruptions, migrations across continents, and the development of language and tool use. They survived so that you could be here now, breathing quietly in this temple of knowledge and discovery. Your eyelids grow heavy as you contemplate the vast timeline represented in this single room. The gentle climate control continues its whispered lullaby, and the emergency lighting provides just enough visibility to maintain a sense of safety while preserving the dreamlike quality of your midnight museum visit. Your muscles begin to release their grip on wakefulness, starting with your feet and working upward through your calves, your thighs, your abdomen. The Hall of Ocean Life awaits your exploration next, promising its own unique form of underwater serenity. You can almost sense the presence of the great blue whale suspended from the ceiling in the adjacent space, its massive form frozen in eternal grace above imaginary ocean currents. But for now, you remain on your bench, allowing the peaceful energy of human history to wash over you like gentle waves. Your breathing has found its own natural rhythm, deep and unhurried, matching the timeless pace of this extraordinary sanctuary, where past and present exist in perfect harmony. Your breathing has found its own natural rhythm, deep and unhurried, matching the timeless pace of this extraordinary sanctuary, where past and present exist in perfect harmony. The weight of your body settles more completely into the bench, each muscle fibre releasing its hold on the day's accumulated tension. Your shoulders drop away from your ears, your jaw unclenches, and your hands rest loosely in your lap like autumn leaves that have finally found their place to rest. Rising slowly from the bench, you feel drawn toward the Hall of Ocean Life, where the mysteries of the deep await in their own liquid darkness. As you cross the threshold into this aquatic realm, the very air seems to change, carrying with it the imagined scent of salt spray and the distant echo of waves against an unseen shore. The space opens before you like an underwater cathedral, its vaulted ceiling disappearing into shadow, while the gentle curve of walls suggests the embrace of ocean depths. The centerpiece of this hall hangs suspended above you, the magnificent blue whale, her 94-foot length captured in a moment of eternal grace. Even in the dim emergency lighting, her form is unmistakable, a gentle giant whose presence transforms the entire space into a place of wonder and reverence. Her sculpted flukes curve upward, as if she's about to break through the surface of an invisible sea, while her massive head points toward depths that exist only in imagination and memory. You walk beneath her slowly, your neck tilted back to take in the impossible scale of this ocean dweller. The blue whale's body tapers elegantly from her broad head to her narrow tail, every curve speaking of millions of years of evolution that shaped her for a life spent gliding through liquid space. In the hushed atmosphere of the museum night, she seems less like a museum display and more like a sleeping leviathan, resting between journeys across vast oceanic expanses. The dioramas that line the walls hold their own sleeping treasures, schools of fish frozen in silver formation, coral gardens that once swayed in tropical currents, and creatures from the deepest trenches where sunlight has never penetrated. Each display window is like a porthole into another world, offering glimpses of ecosystems that exist in perpetual twilight beneath miles of water. The glass surfaces reflect your own form as you pass, creating the illusion that you're walking through an underwater tunnel surrounded by the patient life of the sea. You find yourself drawn to a display of deep-sea creatures, their bioluminescent adaptations captured in artistic recreation. Jellyfish hang like living chandeliers, their translucent bells and trailing tentacles arranged in graceful spirals. Anglerfish hover with their glowing lures extended, eternal fishermen casting their lights into the museum's artificial depths. The darkness of the hall enhances their ethereal beauty, making each creature appear to pulse with its own inner luminescence. Moving deeper into the hall, you discover a quiet alcove where a circular bench surrounds a central display of marine fossils. Ancient trilobites rest in their stone beds, their segmented bodies telling stories of seas that existed long before the first vertebrate ever dreamed of leaving the water. These creatures lived and died when the earth was young, and oceans covered most of its surface, their lives playing out in cycles of feeding and reproduction that spanned millions of years. You settle onto the curved bench, feeling the cool upholstery through your clothes as you lean back against the supportive backrest. From this position, you can observe the entire hall while maintaining a sense of intimate connection with the sleeping marine life surrounding you. The blue whale hovers above like a protective spirit, her presence both massive and gentle, reminding you of the vastness of the natural world and your own small but cherished place within it. The silence here carries different qualities than in the previous halls. It feels deeper, more fluid, as if you're actually suspended in the quiet depths of the ocean itself. Your breathing naturally slows to match this aquatic pace, each inhalation lasting longer than the last, each exhalation releasing more of the surface tension that binds you to the concerns of dry land. The gentle hum of the museum's systems becomes the distant song of whales, calling to each other across impossible distances. Your eyes begin to feel heavy as you gaze upward at the whale's serene form. The emergency lighting creates subtle shadows along her flanks, giving the illusion of gentle movement as if she's slowly breathing in the museum's carefully controlled atmosphere. Her eye, though artificial, seems to hold ancient wisdom, knowledge of migrations that span entire oceans, of songs that carry for hundreds of miles, of depths where pressure creates its own form of silence. The marine fossils in their central display seem to pulse gently in your peripheral vision, their ancient forms suggesting the rhythm of tides that have been washing shores since before human memory began. These creatures lived their entire existence in water, never knowing the feeling of air against skin or the weight of gravity unmediated by buoyant force. Their fossilized remains speak of a simpler time when life moved slowly through liquid space, following currents and seasons in patterns that required no conscious thought. Your body begins to mirror this oceanic existence. Your limbs feel lighter, as if supported by invisible water that bears your weight without effort. Your spine lengthens naturally as tension flows away from each vertebra like sands settling through gentle currents. The bench beneath you might as well be a bed of kelp, swaying softly in the deep sea environment your mind has begun to inhabit. The hall of meteorites beckons from beyond the ocean depths, promising its own celestial serenity. But for now, You remain suspended in this underwater sanctuary, letting the blue whale's eternal journey carry you deeper into the peaceful realm where museum nights unfold their special magic. The boundary between wakefulness and dreams begins to blur, softened by the gentle presence of creatures who have mastered the art of moving through their world with grace and purpose. Your breathing synchronizes with imagined ocean currents, deep and rhythmic like the pulse of tides against distant shores. Each breath carries you further from the surface concerns of daily life and deeper into the tranquil depths where the museum's nighttime spirit dwells. The blue whale continues her endless migration above you, a gentle guardian watching over your descent into the peaceful darkness where all the day's tensions dissolve like salt in warm water. In this aquatic twilight, surrounded by the patient wisdom of creatures who have inhabited the earth far longer than humans have walked upon it, your mind begins to drift toward the borderlands of sleep. The museum's nocturnal magic wraps around you like a comfortable current, carrying you toward dreams where ancient seas still cover the world and time moves with the unhurried pace of geological ages. The Hall of Meteorites draws you forward with its promise of cosmic tranquility, where fragments of distant worlds rest in eternal silence. As you leave the oceanic depths behind, your footsteps carry you across polished floors that reflect the scattered emergency lights. Like stars on a dark lake, the transition from underwater serenity to celestial calm feels natural, as if you're ascending through layers of atmosphere toward the vast quietude of space itself. This hall stretches before you in graceful curves, its display cases arranged like constellations across the darkened floor. Each case holds treasures that have travelled unimaginable distances, chunks of iron and stone that once orbited distant suns, fragments of asteroids that wandered the void for billions of years before finding their way to Earth. In the gentle lighting, these space travellers appear almost mystical, their surfaces bearing the scars of cosmic journeys that dwarf any earthbound adventure. You approach the largest meteorite display, where the Ahnighito meteorite rests in patient dignity. This massive iron visitor from space weighs over 30 tons, yet in the museum's nocturnal atmosphere it seems weightless, a gentle giant that has found peace after its fiery descent through Earth's atmosphere centuries ago. Its surface, polished smooth in places and rough with impact craters in others, tells the story of countless collisions in the asteroid belt where it once made its home. Running your fingers along the cool glass of its protective case, you can almost feel the ancient cold of space that once surrounded this celestial wanderer. The meteorite's presence is deeply calming, reminding you that even the most dramatic journeys eventually find their destination, their place of rest. Its long voyage through the cosmos ended here in this quiet sanctuary, where it can share its story with anyone willing to listen in the peaceful hours after midnight. The smaller meteorites scattered throughout the hall each carry their own whispered tales. Some are no larger than marbles, smooth and dark like river stones worn by eons of cosmic weather. Others display crystalline structures that formed in the zero gravity of space, their geometric patterns unlike anything that could develop under Earth's constant gravitational pull. A few show the distinctive green tinge of olivine, minerals that crystallized in the hearts of distant planets before those worlds were shattered by cosmic catastrophe. You settle onto a cushioned bench positioned at the hall's centre, where you can observe the entire collection while feeling embraced by their collective presence. From this vantage point, the meteorites seem less like museum specimens and more like sleeping travellers, each one resting after completing the longest possible journey. The silence here carries a different quality than in the previous halls. It's the deep quiet of interstellar space, vast and encompassing, where sound has no medium through which to travel. Your breathing naturally adjusts to match this cosmic rhythm, becoming slower and more measured as your body responds to the profound stillness. Each inhalation seems to draw in particles of stardust while each exhalation releases earthbound concerns into the museum's carefully controlled atmosphere. The emergency lighting creates subtle halos around each display case, making the meteorites appear to glow with their own inner fire, like distant stars viewed through a telescope. The largest specimens draw your gaze repeatedly, their impressive bulk somehow comforting in the darkened space. These iron giants survived the birth and death of solar systems, witnessed the formation of planets, and travelled through regions of space where temperatures hover near absolute zero. Yet here they rest in perfect climate control, their surfaces neither expanding nor contracting, finally at peace after eons of cosmic turbulence. You lean back against the bench, feeling your spine align naturally as the meteorite's ancient patience seems to flow into your own body. Your shoulders release their grip on the day's accumulated stress, dropping away from your ears as if pulled down by the gentle gravity that once guided these space travellers to Earth. Your hands rest loosely in your lap, palms open and receptive to the hall's tranquil energy. The Hall of Fossils calls softly from the distance, but you remain suspended in this celestial sanctuary, letting the meteorite's billion-year journey toward rest inspire your own descent into peaceful relaxation. These fragments of other worlds have found their eternal home here, just as your mind begins to find its own place of cosmic calm. The boundary between your individual consciousness and the vast quietude of space starts to blur, softened by the presence of these patient travellers who have mastered the art of stillness after motion. Your eyelids grow heavier as you contemplate the incredible distances these meteorites have travelled. Some originated in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, taking millions of years to spiral inward toward the Sun. Others came from even further away, perhaps knocked loose from distant planets by impacts so violent they launched pieces of those worlds into interplanetary space. A few might have begun their journeys in other solar systems entirely, wandering the galaxy for epochs before our Sun's gravity captured them and drew them home. The thought of such vast temporal scales has a profoundly soothing effect on your nervous system. Your own concerns, which seemed so pressing just hours ago, now appear as fleeting as shooting stars against the backdrop of cosmic time. The meteorites have waited patiently through geological ages to share their stories, and in their presence you feel your own capacity for patience expanding like ripples in a still pond. Moving deeper into the fossil halls, you discover chambers where time itself seems crystallized in stone. Ancient creatures rest in their sedimentary beds like pressed flowers in an enormous book, their forms preserved with such exquisite detail that you can make out individual scales, feathers, and bone structures, despite the millions of years that have passed since they drew their last breaths. The emergency lighting casts gentle shadows across these displays, making the fossilized remains appear to shift slightly, as if the creatures might stretch and yawn after their impossibly long sleep. A magnificent Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton dominates the central hall, its massive skull tilted slightly, as if listening to sounds from the Cretaceous period that only it can hear. In the museum's nocturnal quiet, this ancient predator seems less fearsome and more contemplative, a wise elder who has witnessed the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. Its empty eye sockets gaze towards some distant point beyond the hall's walls, perhaps seeing visions of the lush forests and vast inland seas where it once roamed. You find yourself drawn to a display of marine reptiles, their serpentine forms captured in limestone that formed when shallow seas covered much of what is now dry land. These creatures spent their lives gliding through warm waters under skies that knew no human gaze, their movements as graceful as dancers, performing for an audience of fish and ammonites. The fossils show them in various poses, some diving toward the ancient seafloor, others surfacing for air, all of them frozen in moments that speak of lives fully lived according to instincts honed over millions of years. A comfortable viewing area surrounds this marine display, and you settle into one of the padded chairs with a sigh of deep contentment. The fossil hall's atmosphere wraps around you like layers of geological time, each stratum representing countless seasons of rain and drought, volcanic eruptions and quiet periods of steady deposition. Your body begins to mirror this sedimentary process, with tension settling out of your muscles like silt drifting to the bottom of an ancient lake. The silence here is profound yet gentle, carrying within it the whispered stories of creatures who adapted to changing climates, evolved new survival strategies, and ultimately contributed their forms to the great fossil record that surrounds you. Some lived brief lives measured in days or weeks, while others survived for centuries in the case of ancient trees whose rings are still visible in their petrified remains. All of them found their own ways to exist within the constraints and opportunities their environments provided. Your breathing synchronizes with this paleontological rhythm, each inhalation drawing in millions of years of patient persistence, each exhalation releasing the urgency that characterizes modern life. The fossilized creatures seem to emanate a deep calm born of complete acceptance. They lived fully within their moment in geological time, neither rushing toward an imagined future nor clinging to a romanticized past. Their presence suggests that peace comes from embracing whatever conditions surround you, adapting when possible and resting when adaptation is complete. The temperature in the fossil hall remains perfectly controlled, neither warm enough to cause discomfort, nor cool enough to create alertness. Your body settles into this neutral zone where no adjustments are necessary, where you can simply exist without the constant micro-negotiations that usually occupy your nervous system. The chair supporting you seems to mould itself to your form, providing exactly the right amount of cushioning to allow your muscles to release their protective tension. Ancient ferns spread their fronds in glass cases along the walls, their delicate patterns preserved in stone with such clarity that you can trace individual leaflets with your eyes. These plants photosynthesized sunlight that fell on Earth when the atmosphere contained different ratios of gases, when continents sat in different positions, when the very definition of day and night followed rhythms that no living creature remembers. Yet their essential forms remain familiar, connecting you across vast spans of time to the fundamental patterns that have always characterized life on this planet. Your mind begins to drift like sediment settling through still water, thoughts becoming less distinct and more dreamlike as the fossil hall's ancient patience infuses your consciousness. The creatures around you have mastered the ultimate form of rest, their active lives transformed into eternal stillness that somehow feels more vital than mere sleep. They suggest that true peace comes not from the absence of experience, but from the complete integration of all experiences into a state of profound acceptance. The Hall of Gems awaits beyond these chambers of stone and time, promising its own crystalline form of serenity. But for now, you remain suspended in this paleontological sanctuary, letting the fossilized wisdom of countless generations guide your own descent into the deep rest that waits at the intersection of time and timelessness, where museum nights reveal their most precious secrets to those willing to listen with more than their ears. The crystalline realm beckons with its promise of geological perfection, where countless eons of pressure and heat have transformed simple elements into structures of breathtaking beauty. As you cross the threshold into the Hall of Gems and Minerals, the emergency lighting catches the faceted surfaces of 1,000 treasures, creating tiny galaxies of reflected starlight throughout the darkened space. Each display case holds wonders that formed in the deepest chambers of the earth, where time moves so slowly that 1,000,000 human lifetimes pass like single heartbeats. Your footsteps whisper across the polished floor as you approach the first magnificent display, a cathedral of amethyst that rises from its case like a frozen waterfall of purple light. The crystals have grown in perfect hexagonal formations, each point reaching towards some invisible geometric truth that governs the architecture of atoms. In the gentle illumination, they seem to pulse with their own inner radiance, as if the Earth's patient creative force still flows through their crystalline matrices. Moving deeper into this treasure chamber, you encounter emeralds that capture the essence of spring forests within their green depths, sapphires that hold fragments of summer sky, and rubies that glow like embers from fires that burned when the world was young. Each gem represents millions of years of slow transformation, elements dancing together under conditions of such specific temperature and pressure that their formation borders on the miraculous. A comfortable meditation area surrounds the hall's centerpiece, a massive quartz crystal cluster that stands nearly as tall as you are. You settle onto the cushioned platform that circles this natural monument, feeling the soft fabric yield beneath your weight as your body finds its preferred position for deep rest. The quartz points radiated outward in all directions like frozen fireworks, each facet catching and redirecting the subtle lighting into prismatic patterns that dance across the walls. The silence here carries the weight of geological ages, a quietude so profound it seems to emanate from the crystals themselves. These minerals formed in absolute darkness, in chambers where no sound could travel, where pressure created its own form of meditation, lasting millions of years. Your breathing naturally adjusts to match this deep earth rhythm, becoming slower and more measured as your nervous system responds to the crystal's patient energy. Your shoulders release their hold on accumulated tension, dropping away from your ears, as if drawn downward by the same gravitational forces that compressed carbon into diamonds over billions of years. The cushions beneath you seem to conform perfectly to your body's contours, creating a sense of being cradled by the earth itself. Your spine lengthens naturally as each vertebra finds its optimal position, no longer fighting against the day's accumulated stress, but flowing into alignment like crystals, organizing themselves according to their internal structure. The gem hall's atmosphere wraps around you like layers of sedimentary calm, each stratum representing countless seasons of slow transformation. Your muscles begin to mirror this crystalline process, tension dissolving and reforming into patterns of deep relaxation that spread through your body like minerals precipitating from supersaturated solutions. The emergency lighting creates halos around each display case, making the gems appear to breathe with their own gentle luminescence. A magnificent display of opals draws your attention, their surfaces playing with light in ways that seem almost magical. Fire opals burn with internal sunset colours, while black opals hold entire nebulae within their dark depths. These stones formed when ancient silica-rich waters slowly evaporated, leaving behind solidified rainbows that capture the play of light and shadow across geological time. In the museum's nocturnal quiet, they seem less like mineral specimens and more like windows into the Earth's dreams. You lean back against the meditation platform's supportive backrest, feeling your ribcage expand naturally as your breathing deepens. The quartz cluster beside you resonates with some inaudible frequency, its crystalline structure creating vibrations too subtle for conscious awareness, but powerful enough to influence your nervous system's gradual transition towards sleep. Each facet of the massive crystal reflects your image back in slightly different ways, creating the illusion that multiple versions of yourself are all settling into rest simultaneously. The hall extends into shadowed alcoves where rarer specimens rest in climate-controlled peace. Meteorite samples studded with olivine crystals speak of formation in zero gravity, their structures unlike anything that could develop under Earth's constant gravitational influence. Fluorite specimens glow with ethereal colours under the emergency lighting, their cubic formations demonstrating the mathematical precision that governs atomic arrangements. Each mineral tells its own story of elemental patience, of simple substances transformed through time and pressure into objects of transcendent beauty. Your eyelids begin to feel heavy as you contemplate the incredible spans of time required to create the treasures surrounding you. The smallest gem in this collection represents more years of formation than human civilization has existed. Yet here, they rest in perfect stillness, their growth complete, their transformation from base elements into precious stones finally achieved. This realization brings a profound sense of peace to your conscious mind, suggesting that all processes, including your own journey toward rest, unfold according to natural rhythms that cannot be rushed or forced. The temperature in the gem hall remains perfectly controlled, creating an environment where your body requires no adjustments or accommodations. Your hands rest loosely in your lap, palms open and receptive to the crystalline energy that seems to emanate from every surface. The platform beneath you might as well be floating in the deep earth chambers where these gems first formed, suspended in the patient darkness where time moves with geological slowness. The crystalline energies seem to gather around you now, drawing your consciousness deeper into their patient embrace. Your breathing has become so slow and rhythmic that each inhalation feels like drawing in millions of years of earthly wisdom, while each exhalation releases the last traces of surface tension from your completely relaxed form. The gems continue their silent vigil around you, their ancient light guiding you toward the threshold where waking consciousness dissolves into the deep rest that waits beyond thought and time. As your mind drifts toward the borderlands of sleep, the museum's nocturnal magic completes its gentle work. The crystalline hall holds you in its mineral embrace while your body settles into the profound stillness that only comes when every muscle has released its grip on the day's accumulated concerns. The emergency lighting dims to barely perceptible levels, creating an atmosphere of perfect twilight where dreams begin to weave themselves from the threads of geological memory. Your final conscious awareness registers the soft hum of climate control systems maintaining perfect conditions for both precious gems and weary travellers seeking rest. The sound becomes a lullaby composed by the earth itself, carrying you deeper into the peaceful darkness where the museum's ancient treasures continue their eternal watch over all who find sanctuary within these hallowed halls. Here, surrounded by the patient wisdom of stones that have waited millions of years to share their beauty, you finally surrender to the deep rest that awaits at the intersection of time and timelessness. The museum night embraces you completely as your breathing synchronizes with rhythms older than memory, carrying you into dreams where crystalline light guides your way through chambers of infinite peace.